Hey guys, Dark Energy here with AoE Gaming, bringing you another non-meta build, the Shroud of the Unshackled. It's a hybrid build similar to the Shackle-Plasm hybrid I released last week, but I feel this one's an upgrade. Stick around for why. Alright guys, let's jump into the build now and discuss what the difference is between this build and the Shackle-Plasm hybrid I released last week. Maelstrom's Battle Axe. So that's your first difference. You get that Maelstrom two-piece crit charge dot, and being an axe, you get that 16% chance with the melee to cause another damage over time. It's Nirnholm with the Berserker glyph. The first 5-piece set, Shroud of the Lich. That's our Inferno Staff, Magicka Recovery, Max Magicka, Magicka Recovery. When you cast an ability that costs resource while under 33% Magicka, you're going to proc nearly 1,000 Magicka Recovery for 20 seconds. 40-second cooldown. Double dot poison on this weapon. That goes a long way with weaving, light attacks, and crushing shock. Monster set. The Troll King. Now this is incredible on this build. It's a heavy helmet, healing done by 4%, and when you heal yourself or an ally while under 50% health and remaining under 50% health, you're going to proc health recovery buff 1548 for 10 seconds. There is no cooldown. You can do it back to back. 10 seconds on, 10 seconds on. One heavy head, one medium shoulder. Next 5-piece set, Shackle Breaker, of course. Weapon damage, spell damage, stamina and Magicka Recovery, and then almost 2,000 max pool apiece. Now, I haven't golded all the gear or the glyphs yet, so the numbers you see are set to go even higher. And take note, most of the pieces are well fitted and in pen. We're wearing medium this time versus light. That's one difference between this build and the Shackle-Plasm hybrid. I wanted the medium armor passives. Shackle Breaker necklace built with an infused trait with a stamina recovery glyph. I wanted to get more stamina recovery on this build than I had on the Shackle-Plasm hybrid. If you look, all the pieces are stam recovery. You could transmute even more if you wanted, or you could go into weapon damage if you wanted more power. But as you saw, we're 32 and 36 on the weapon and spell damage. Okay, so you already saw the stat screen earlier. The build, we are a Dark Elf Sork. The Serpent is our boon. The food we are eating is a tri-food Bewitched Sugar Skulls with a health recovery glyph that goes a long way with Troll King. And we're a vampire. Now, having this at stage 3 is going to help the health recovery even more. And I'm telling you, we got almost 3,000 health recovery as a vampire. So you're still getting the 10% Magicka and stamina recovery, and you're getting the damage mitigation buff from being a vampire. But you're still at almost 3,000 health recovery. Now, we're a Dark Elf. That's the best class. Max Magicka and max stamina by almost 2,000. Resist Flame. You gain immunity to the burning status effect. That goes a long way as a vampire to help mitigate some of those negative effects. And the last one is Ruination. Increase your weapon and spell damage by 258. This is why it's ideal to be a Dark Elf, especially if you're going to be a vampire Dark Elf. Now we can look at some other important passives. Support. When you have a skill slotted, you increase your Magicka recovery by 10%. Sometimes on the staff bar, I'll slot Barrier just for that passive recovery. Undaunted imperative passives, especially Undaunted Metal. You get to max health, stamina, and Magicka by 2% per weight of armor. That's why we're wearing 5 medium, 1 light, 1 heavy. We get 6% bonus to all of our max stats. Definitely important for a hybrid build. Fighter's Guild. Dawnbreaker of Smiting is our ultimate on our sword bar, so the Slayer 3 passive applies, increasing our weapon damage by 3% on that bar. We are a vampire, so you get that 10% additional Magicka and stamina recovery. The Undeath additional damage mitigation up to 33% when you drop below 50% health. And the Unnatural Resistance passive is a must. Keep yourself at stage 3, reduces the health recovery debuff, so that Troll King and the Bewitched Sugar Skulls goes a much further way, keeping us close to 3,000 health recovery. Okay, we're a Sork. I feel the best class for a hybrid build. Capacitor, 10% Magicka recovery. Energized, increased physical and shock damage. Amplitude is kind of like a reverse finisher. And then our expert mage, weapon and spell damage by 2% for each Sork ability slotted. We got 6 on one bar and 8 on the other if you have the Atronach ultimate slotted there. That's going to increase weapon and spell damage. Great for a hybrid build. On the Daedric Summoning, the reduced ultimate cost is great. Daedric Protection increases your health and stamina recovery by 20% while you have a Daedric Summoning ability slotted. We do have that on both bars at all times. Empowered Ward and Haunting Curse. An Expert Summoner, if you use the Atronach when you drop him out there, your max health increased by 8%. Onto the dark magic passives. Unholy Knowledge is great for a hybrid build. Reduces health, magicka, and stamina costs of your abilities. So that's going to benefit us on both sides of the world there. Blood magic, you heal after you hit him with the dark magic ability. That's going to be our crystal frags. Pestilence. Persistence is just more cost reduction after blocking. And exploitations, group friendly. When you cast a dark magic ability, that's going to be crystal frags again. You're going to increase yours and your group's spell crit by 1320 for 20 seconds. Medium armor. That's one thing different on this build than the Shackle-Plasm hybrid. We're in 5 pieces of medium. We got a lot more stamina recovery, a lot more dodge roll cost reduction, things like that. So a lot more mobility and elusiveness and a little bit more weapon damage. So that's one big difference between this build and the Shackle-Plasm hybrid. And that has actually taken the survivability up a notch. We still have some light armor passives, one piece going toward all these bonuses. You get Magicka recovery. It came down a little bit, but the Lich is making up for that. And then I have points in this, but obviously we're not getting those 5-piece bonuses. Heavy, again, 1 piece. So we're going to get some at least 1 piece of the bonuses for these. Constitution. That's going to help push our health recovery up a bit with that Troll King and Bewitched Sugar Skulls health recovery. Juggernaut's going to buff the max health just a little bit. So again, 1-piece bonuses go in there. They go a long way combined with the Undaunted 6% bonus we get to our max stats for all the different weights we're wearing. All right, skills. I won't do a skill-by-skill presentation like I do on most videos because I already did one on the Shackle-Plasm hybrid, and this is pretty similar as far as the lineup goes. Crushing Shock, light attacks and Crushing Shock weaving with a double dot poison is awesome for ranged attacking. Resolving Vigor is a great quick heal, stamina-powered heal. Crystal Frags, you could hard cast obviously, but only do it at the beginning of a battle if you can. Get that procced frag, it's going to deal more damage, it's going to deliver instantly. A finisher, Mage's Wrath, it's great for ranged finishing. Empowered Ward, that's going to be your shield warding. You could morph that to the other one, Hardened Ward, for more shield cap, but I like Empowered Ward for the Magicka recovery. I have slotted Barrier, that's going to give you passively in the support passives 10% more Magicka recovery. I use it very, very rarely. It's just more of a slotted passive, but I do like to slot the Atronach on this bar to drop in a ranged stun and kind of an extra body to go out there, and it also buffs your max health by 8% when you have him out. So between Atronach and Barrier, those are the 2 ultimates I usually slot on the staff bar. So as you can see, Vigor and Empowered Ward on the staff bar. It's going to give you great quick survivability both from stamina-based sources and Magicka-based sources. So, all right, moving on to the 2-handed bar, our skill lineup here. Haunting Curse, it's a Daedric summoning ability. You definitely want to have a Daedric summoning ability on this bar for the 20% stamina and health recovery. Next skill, Reverse Slice. I like this morph. It deals a little less damage, 300% versus 400%, but it hits enemies around the target for 78%. That's great for multi-finishing here. Stampede is our gap closer with a Maelstrom weapon. This is what we're using to get that Maelstrom 2-piece bonus. Crit Surge, the perfect buff for a hybrid build, gives you Major Brutality and Major Sorcery, increasing both weapon and spell damage by 20%, and is going to heal you for almost 4,000 health every second when you deal crit hits. Crit hits are going to be very easily dealt with Hurricane. You could pick Boundless Storm, but I like Hurricane because it's bigger. It deals more damage as it ticks on. So between these two, Hurricane and Crit Surge, you're going to keep yourself buffed, your damage, your resistances, and your healing. The ultimate in this bar is Dawnbreaker of Smiting. You could use Onslaught. It's a very a big favorite for a lot of people. I like Dawnbreaker for that stun. And it's the fact that it's kind of a cone, so it helps hit, multiple targets versus just one. So that is the setup on this bar. If you're feeling like you want to change a skill or two, by all means go ahead. Just keep in mind the passives you may lose or gain as you skill swap. So real quick, I wanted to touch on the 2-handed passives. We're using Stampede and Reverse Slice. With that, on the Shackle-Plasm hybrid, we were using a sword. passively increasing our damage, but on this one we're using a battle axe. 16% chance to apply a almost 10,000 damage bleed over 6 seconds. So with the Maelstrom Stampede 2-piece bonus and the battle axe, you're just adding a lot more dots going on, including the double dot poison that you maybe have applied before you lunged on him with your two-handed. So a lot more dots, a lot more damage. So on the champion points, starting in the green, you've got the Thief, the Tower. Not a whole lot of imperative passives you want to unlock here, but we do have Sprinter and Warlord. Now the Lover, you're going to have a lot of your recoveries here. You get your Magicka recovery, your health recovery, your stamina recovery. All these are very important. You see I have 166 points invested into this tree. Moving on to the Shadow, dodge roll is the biggest one here. You can dodge roll and dodge roll. The medium armor passives are going to help you dodge roll. The well-fitted pieces are going to help you dodge roll. And then the champion points here are going to add even more dodge roll cost reduction. So honestly, on this build, there's a lot more evasiveness than on the light armor Shackle-Plasm hybrid. All right, moving on into the blue tree, Mage, Apprentice. Blessed is going to add to your healing done. Spell erosion is going to add to your spell pen. We lost a little bit of that by going into medium armor by losing the light armor passives. But we got 101 points invested into this tree. Just keep in mind to invest, like I always say, just 1 decimal place above the next whole number. Everything else is a waste as far as CP points goes. Next tree, you got Staff Expert and Physical Weapon Expert and direct damage attacks at Master at Arms with Crystal Frags. There's a lot of direct damage attacks. There's also a lot of dots, but you want to make sure you unlock 75 points into this tree for the Butcher passive, because you're going to deal more damage to the enemies with light and heavy attacks when they're below 25% health. So that's going to go an extra mile on some of the finishing you're going to be doing. So next tree, the Ritual, Thaumaturge. We do have a lot of dots on this. The Stampede crit charge, the Battle Axe, the double dot poison. That's even Haunting Curse. Mighty and Piercing, these are important. You want to put points into those to get those up. You're going to unlock Perfect Strike. Anyways, and on the way, you want to make sure you unlock Exploiter at 75 points, increasing your damage done to off-balance enemies by 10%. Now, we're not using Dizzying Swing. You could slot that in place of Daedric Prey, or Haunting Curse, sorry, but just keep in mind the stamina and health recovery passives you lose on that. So, okay, moving on. In the defensive trees, Ironclad, you want a lot in that. In PvP, there's a lot of direct damage. Medium armor focus, we're going to get our physical resistance up a little bit, and spell shield, we're going to get our spell resistance up a little bit, but Ironclad is imperative. 10% damage reduction on direct damage attacks. So anybody coming at you with a bursty set of attacks is pretty much always using direct damage, so you want to get that mitigated. Crit resistance, you can get that up a little bit if you wanted to, or just wear a couple more in-pen pieces, but ideally you want to be at like 2,200, 2,300 in-pen. You just want to make sure you unlock the Resilient passive in this tree when you take critical damage, which is going to happen a lot in PvP. You're just going to get another little bit of healing. 186 doesn't seem like much, but it adds up. Next tree, the Lady. You want to go with Hardy, 7%. You got Elemental Defender, 7%. You could take those up to 8% if you want. Just kind of mitigating more damage there. And then Thick Skin, you're going to reduce your damage over time a bit there. Another important mechanic to know is that with champion points, they come with diminishing returns. So the more you invest and the higher the number you invest into a particular area, the less you get out of it. So Critical Leech, you want to have this one unlocked at 75. When you deal direct critical damage, you heal for 359. It's every 5 seconds, another little source of healing. Next tree, the Lord. Bastion is going to help our shields a little bit. We're using Empowered Ward, not Hardened Ward, so we're getting a little more out of that 10%. And then Quick Recovery is going to increase our healing received. That couples nice with Troll King's first trait. All right, there's no real imperative unlocks on this tree either, and that pretty much wraps up the champion points and pretty much wraps up the build. If you like this video and you want to see more, check out my channel. I've got more builds posted on there. Thanks for watching. Dark Energy with AOE Gaming, signing out.
prime stars, prime stars.